Long, long ago, in the vast and ancient land of Egypt, which some say had a level of sophistication and development different from what we know today, the Israelites lived under the harsh rule of a powerful king, named Pharaoh. Pharaoh feared the growing number of Israelites, believing they might rise against him. To control their population, he decreed a cruel and unjust law, that all newborn Hebrew boys be thrown into the river Nile. In this dark time, a beacon of hope was born. A beautiful baby boy named Moses came into the world, to a Hebrew woman named Jochebed. She held her newborn son close, knowing his life was in danger. With a mother's heart full of love and fear, Jochebed hid Moses for 3 months, protecting him from Pharaoh's decree as she could not afford the pain of losing her son. When she could no longer hide him, Jochebed wove a basket from reeds, coated it with pitch to make it waterproof, and gently placed her precious baby boy inside. She whispered a prayer for his safety and set the basket adrift on the river Nile, trusting God to protect her son. One warm afternoon, Pharaoh's daughter came to the river to bathe. As she walked along the riverbank, she noticed a basket among the reeds. Curiosity sparked in her eyes as she sent her maid to fetch it. Opening the basket, she found a crying, helpless baby. Her heart melted with compassion as she gazed upon the cute and innocent face of this child.
This cute child must be one of the Hebrew babies.
At that moment, Miriam, Moses' sister who had been watching from a distance, bravely approached Pharaoh's daughter.
"Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?"
Pharaoh's daughter agreed, and Miriam ran to get her mother, Jochebed. Jochebed returned with Miriam, and Pharaoh's daughter said to her,
"Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you."
Jochebed cared for Moses until he was old enough to be brought to Pharaoh's palace. There, he was raised as the son of Pharaoh's daughter, learning the ways of the Egyptians while still holding on to his Hebrew roots. As Moses grew into a young man, he became fully aware of the suffering of his people, the Israelites. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Anger and a sense of justice surged within him. Unable to stand by to watch an innocent person receive such harsh treatment without a valid reason, Moses intervened and killed the Egyptian. Fearing for his life, Moses fled Egypt and journeyed to the land of Midian. The journey was long and dangerous, through deserts and across rugged terrain. When he arrived in Midian, he found refuge with a kind priest named Jethro. One day, as Moses rested by a well, he saw 7 sisters who were the daughters of Jethro. They came to draw water for their father's flock, but some shepherds came and tried to drive them away. Moses, being a gentle man, stood up and helped them, drawing water for their flock.
"Thank you for helping us. Please come and meet our father."
Moses agreed and was welcomed into Jethro's home. Over time, he grew close to Jethro's family and eventually married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters. Moses became a shepherd, tending to Jethro's flocks and finding peace and happiness in his new life. Years passed, and Moses lived a quiet life in Midian, tending to the sheep and raising his family. Yet, deep inside, he felt a sense of destiny calling him to something greater. Little did he know, his life was about to take a dramatic turn, setting the stage for one of the most epic stories in history. One day, while Moses was tending the sheep near Mount Horeb, he saw a strange sight. A bush was on fire, but it was not consumed by the flames as the bush remained green and alive. Curiosity and amazement filled Moses as he approached the burning bush.
Moses, Moses,
Here I am.
do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
Moses trembled with fear and awe as he listened to the voice of God. His entire life came flashing to his face, and a feeling that the whole world was at peace with him. God's voice continued.
I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people the Israelites out of Egypt.
Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?
I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain.
God gave Moses signs and miracles to perform, reassuring him that he would be with him every step of the way. Strengthened by God's promise and empowered by God's teachings, Moses returned to Egypt. He was joined by his brother Aaron, who would speak on his behalf. Together, they went to Pharaoh and delivered God's message. When they arrived at Pharaoh's castle, Aaron spoke on Moses' behalf, saying,
This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness.
Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know your Lord, and I will not let Israel go.
Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused to let the Israelites go. This set the stage for a series of miraculous events known as the 10 plagues, which God sent to persuade Pharaoh. God instructed Moses and Aaron to stretch out their hands over Egypt, bringing about the 10 plagues. The waters of the Nile turned to blood, a vivid red that startled and frightened the Egyptians. Everywhere they looked, frogs overran the land, hopping into homes, kitchens, and even their beds. As if that wasn't enough, gnats and flies swarmed in thick clouds, buzzing and biting, making life unbearable. Then, a dreadful plague struck the livestock, and countless animals died, leaving fields empty and farmers devastated. Boils broke out on people and animals alike, painful sores that covered their skin. A violent hailstorm descended, with massive hailstones that battered crops and buildings, shattering windows and crushing everything in their path. What little remained was devoured by locusts, swarms so dense they darkened the sky and left nothing green in their wake. Darkness, thick and oppressive, enveloped the land for 3 days, a darkness so profound that people could not see each other or move about. Finally, the most dreadful plague of all struck, the death of the firstborn. In every Egyptian household, from the palace to the humblest home, the firstborn son lay dead, plunging the nation into mourning. Before this final plague, God gave the Israelites specific instructions for the Passover meal. Each family was to take a lamb without blemish, slaughter it at twilight, and mark their doorposts with its blood. This sign would cause the angel of death to pass over their homes, sparing their firstborn. The Israelites followed God's instructions meticulously. That night, they gathered in their homes, eating the lamb with bitter herbs and unleavened bread, ready to leave Egypt at a moment's notice. After the devastating final plague, Pharaoh relented and allowed the Israelites to leave Egypt. Joy and relief spread among the Israelites as they packed their belongings and prepared to depart. Moses led them out of bondage, carrying the bones of Joseph with them as they departed, fulfilling the promise made to Joseph long ago. However, Pharaoh's heart hardened once more. As the Israelites journeyed, Pharaoh assembled his army and set out in pursuit. The Israelites camped by the Red Sea, saw the dust of the approaching chariots and cried out in fear.
Do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still.
Following God's command, Moses stretched out his staff over the sea. A strong east wind blew, dividing the sea and turning the sea bottom into dry ground. Walls of water stood on either side, letting the Israelites walk through the sea on dry land. Pharaoh's army, with their chariots and horses, charged into the path created by the parted waters. But once the Israelites reached the other side, Moses stretched out his staff again, and the waters returned, sweeping away the Egyptians with all their might. Not one of Pharaoh's soldiers survived. The Israelites stood in amazement and relief, singing songs of praise for their miraculous deliverance. After their miraculous escape, the Israelites journeyed through the desert to Mount Sinai. There, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, laws to guide and shape the newly freed nation. Moses ascended Mount Sinai, where he received the 10 Commandments from God. These commandments would become the foundation of the covenant between God and his people. Throughout his life, Moses continued to lead the Israelites with faith and determination. From the plagues of Egypt to the parting of the Red Sea and the giving of the 10 Commandments, Moses' journey was filled with divine guidance and miracles. His story reminds us of the power of faith, the importance of obedience, and the incredible ways in which God can work through us. And so, Moses' story is a testament to the extraordinary plan that God has for each of us, and the courage and faith it takes to follow that plan. Thank you for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and share. Sweet dreams, and see you in the next Bible story.